Good morning, ladies and gents, hope you're all well, and it's another very early one. You'll remember Shad Thames that we've just looked at, but we're going a completely different route today. Butler's Wharf Pier, and most particularly Maggie Blake's course, which is what we're about to walk through now. Who was Maggie Blake and what was her course? Maggie Blake was a lady from really our own era, when the Docklands redevelopment got going. She was around then, and what we're going to have a look at in a minute, and we're about to walk out to, and the view, we really owe to Maggie Blake, because the developers, you can see the sun is coming up, the developers, they originally wanted this pathway here blocked up, or this route blocked up, and this to be basically access only for the shops, businesses and homes above. But Maggie Blake fought very, very hard for this to remain public access, and so it is. That was Maggie Blake, and that was her cause. Now, off we trundle. This particular journey today is London's longest street, which is Rotherhithe Street, which is 1.5 miles long. It was originally longer, but redevelopments after the war and slum clearances and such like has made it shorter than it was, but it is still London's longest street, and we are walking to it. On our journey we passed some interesting things. St Saviour's dock, we saw it from Dockhead at the last time on Jamaica Road. Now you'll see the opening of it in what they call the River Neckinger. You will also see HMS Harpy. One of my lovely YouTube members mentioned about that, wondered if it's still around. And it is. You got paddleboat steamer there, look. Two of them. Some nice views of across the Thames. Tower Bridge, of course. The old brewery and Horsley Down Old Stairs. Butler's Wharf. In here where the I'll show you in a sec. Just through those gates there, where the men would have lined up twice a day to get half a day's labour. There's some nice restaurants and eateries and things along here. My advice is, if you come to one, do dress smartly, because you may feel somewhat out of place otherwise. Okay. This one's called the Elizabethan. This one, I can see no name on it. Tel 0207 357 7751, so we'll just call it Tel. But this one's called the Elizabethan. And we will be seeing HMS Harpy soon, which is an early Edwardian boat. Other things we'll be catching on our journey are the old Justice pub, which has famous Paul McCartney links. We'll be walking past the Angel and the ruins of King Edward's Manor House at Rotherhithe. That's to get us to London's longest street. See, last time we went the Jamaica Roadway, which was right through that way and along the main road this way, we basically hug the river line. We get to see more of the old wharf buildings and that. All bar one, this one is. They've got a couple of those. They've got one of those over by Tower Hill. If you go in there, you can look into the old Tower Hill station, a location I've been longing to get into. But when we get to Rotherhithe Street, London's longest street, we'll be seeing, or walking past, the Mayflower, St Mary's Church, Rotherhithe, with its Mayflower links, which many of you who've been following the tour may have seen already. The Brunel Museum, we'll be walking past that one, and what we'll do when we get to the very end of this journey, which will be at the end of Rotherhithe Street, that's where you'll join me back at the Brunel Museum. We'll go and check that out, which covers the world's first tunnel under a navigable river, classed as an eighth wonder of its age. Men died building that one, so. But also as well, if you've seen the Mayflower pub, you'll have seen the tankard that was found down in that tunnel. That's an interesting thing. I'll keep pointing this way. We'll be coming up to the Harpy in a minute. Yeah, one of my YouTube members mentioned about that. They wondered if it's still going strong, and it is. The Harpy houseboat. When I first came along here, and I've had a lens upgrade in my glasses since then, I thought it was the Happy houseboat, but it's not. It's the Harpy houseboat. It's going to be a warm day today. Which is good, because it was quite chilly this morning. The Harpy houseboat, 1904. Yeah, still going strong. Many a good time had on that one, from what I gather. And here, you'll remember St Saviour's dock. But we was at the opposite end the other time, last time we did our last tour. This is St Saviour's dock in the 18th century. The Thames was so busy that cargoes were often stranded on ships for weeks. The area became notorious for pirates who attacked the moored vessels. If caught, they were hanged at the mouth of this dock. The river that fed the inlet took the name the Neckinger, from the devil's Neckinger, or neckerchief, London slang for a noose used to execute pirates. The hydraulic cable stay swing bridge across the dock was installed in 1995 to connect up the Thames path. The use of stainless steel and timber and its unusual design blends well with the yachts and boats in the area and has won many design awards. Here's St Saviour's dock in 1937. And this is an interesting one to bear in mind for everyone on Memories of Plaistow and beyond, because it will be an exclusive one just for that page. That's St John at Horsley Down Church there that you can see, a lost church. And Chris McMore from Plaistow's Memories of Plaistow and beyond, and one of my own lovely page members as well. She is. Her ancestors were around this area, and it's been really interesting putting together a bit of the history with some of the stuff that Chris sent me, which relates to St Mary's at Rotherhithe, interestingly enough. This is that hydraulic swing bridge, and this is St Saviour's Dock. Last time we came, we viewed it from the opposite end. We was up Dockhead or Dock End. You've got the key, and you can open that up. You can get that going, turn that round, and it swings the bridge round. Our last view of the Harpy houseboat. Oops. What time is it? It's 7 o'clock, so the gateway should be open by now. Yeah, this is the River Neckinger, or Neckinger, and St Saviour's Dock, as it is nowadays. If you watched the first leg of our journey from Bermondsey to Rotherhithe, you'll have seen this in the past without all these fancy balconies and things, but it's nice that they've still kept the cranes. And where we were last time was there, right there. That's where we stood looking down at this lot, and that's the Jamaica Road we're looking down at. And as I say, there'll be an exclusive video which covers the Mill Street area and this little patch. And there was a street which is a lost street now called Mill Pond Street, which in its early days there was a mill there and there was a mill pond, but as time went on and this area became more and more industrialised, the mill pond developed into something that was known as Folly Ditch, which was basically a very large open sewer. This is New Concordia Wharf, this one. Point you that way. The Harpy houseboat. Harpy houseboat, 1904 HMS Harpy. And this is the gate I was on about, being 7 o'clock. This doesn't open until 7 o'clock. So if you get here before, you will have to wait. And it is very cleverly timed with an electric thing and opens in a thoroughly modern millie type of way. Where we are now, there was once a river, and the river came in, and old blends in with new. And this building that we're looking at here, we'll see more of in a minute as we cross over, but it's a great old building. Just pause you a sec. Off we go. This is Mill Street. Obviously on the opposite side of this lot is St Saviour's Dock and that. Bermondsey Wall West we're on at the moment. And this Reed's Wharf. And the cracking old building I told you about. There it is. Through there is it's locked up, but there's old river stairs and that through there. So we go along Bermondsey Wall West. Our path gets somewhat interrupted by the Lee Tunnelway new super sewer that will be open in 2025, and will be a very, very good thing because it will alleviate a lot of the sewage that pours into the Thames every time it rains. I'll take you over here because you get some nice views. Our walk along London's longest street will be interspersed with historical buildings, Thames views, pubs, me nattering on like a fishwife on steroids, and that sort of thing. Whew, you wouldn't want to fall into that. The birds don't seem to mind it though. Barnes Wharf Limited. Alright, turn you back round and off we shall go again. Let's go on our merry way. Through there, it's a residents only garden type thing, but it's lovely. It's got a little river in there where you cross over on a bridge, and very nice. And be careful if you're filming and walking along here. You go A over T. It's like a residents only type thing. It's very nice. Providence Tower, looking past. I'm out of the sun now, so it's not so warm. I'll just pause you a sec. If I'm pausing intermittently, it's so I don't film people without their consent. This is another nice old building coming up on the right. St Saviour's house. We'll see more of it from the front. Converted into apartments now. If you walk down George Row, which is this row here, and turn right, you'll come across a lovely little pub called the Ship Aground. That pub was built in 1907, but its origins go way, way back to the early 1700s, and that will also feature in our Chris Mickmore ancestry orientated video, because it's doing my research on it. It was a known pub where a lot of the turners, sail makers and block and tackle makers worked, and that's what Chris's ancestor was involved in. Turner, and then a block maker, or block turner, block, you know, for block and tackles with pulleys and that. This is where we have to deviate on our route. When it's all sorted out, the Thames path should carry us straight along, but London needs its new super sewer. When Joseph Bazalgette built the Victorian sewer system, He built it for twice the number of people London had at the time, which at the time in the 1860s and 50s was 2 million people. So he built it for 4. Clever man and good foresight, but he didn't reckon on London's population zooming up to 9 million. A lot of our rain drains or storm drains, whatever you want to call them, connect into the sewers, and when it rains, the sewers pour from these rain drains into the Thames, a mixture of rainwater and sewage. The River Lee, sadly, is one of England's most polluted rivers. You walk around this way onto Chambers Street. A very plain piece of goods if ever I saw one. It's all modern stuff. But we are going to somewhere interesting, get some more Thames views. And location number 1, which is the old Justice pub I told you about with the Paul McCartney links. Thames Tideway, that's what it's called, not the Lee Tunnel, the Thames Tideway. I'll have to point you this way a moment. Some people coming along. Yeah, that's what they're doing. So, come 2025 and beyond that, the river should be much cleaner, and the tunnel aim is to protect the River Thames for 100 years or more. So, it's a good thing. I can hear a cat meowing. They've made the hoardings decorative enough as well, I suppose. Whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and particularly Instagram, this will be a several-parter. Stories from the sewer. You may pause this and read it if you wish. Yes, well, we do love the River Thames, and less sewage in it can only be a good thing. On very warm days it doesn't smell too pretty sometimes when the tide's gone out, so hopefully that will improve. We will be hitting location number 1 soon, and it was one I filmed earlier. So this was a very early start one again today. Our journey here really began at 10 to 6. You get the first glimpse of one of our buildings that we'll see just there. Take us to is a little bit of history, of course, and some more Thameside views. Fountain Green Square, this is called. So called because it is a square, there is a green and there is a fountain. The witch fountain you can see inside the back of. See how it was carved and whatnot. Doesn't work anymore, long since been disconnected and vandalised up to the M to the A to the X. It's got a cross on it, 1868. Philip Stewart, S-T-E-W-A-R-T, Philip Stewart, 1868. When we hit the Wapping side, which will be after we've finished this tour, over here I've got it right, just there is a tunnel that connects into the Thames, more than likely blocked off and more than likely sewage, but I will check it out. With Wellingtons, of course. The Wapping one will be an interesting one because you've got the Ratcliffe Highway murders, the Church of St George in the East, which I filmed almost 2 years ago, I think. So that will be a reshare of that one. Because I've had quite a few members join since then who haven't seen it, and a refresh for those of you who have that may want to see it. A couple of pubs I've not covered before, which is the Captain Kidd and the town of Ramsgate. We'll be walking past the Prospect of Whitby, which I've covered several times, so that will just be a link in the description box for anyone that hasn't seen it. When I say I've covered it several times, I think about 3 now. And that old building I pointed out to you, we'll be seeing in a minute. Just here, there's a little garden, little riverfront area to see. It's very nice in the summer. Probably cold as the Antarctic in the winter, but very pretty, I should think. And this is our old building I pointed out to you. It's a house now, but it was the Sewers, Surrey and Kent and the Duffield Sluice, 1822 this one was built, and it was a sluice house for early sewers, so way before Joseph Bazalgette and all that. And our location is this one here, the Old Justice, so named after Judge Jeffreys, who was a pretty nasty piece of work. And it's got a couple of interesting stories attached to it, this one. So that'll be a separate one, and you'll join me for that now if you want to watch it. And there's a bit of Paul McCartney with this one as well, so hopefully you'll find that interesting. And here we see Shad Thames, where we began our walk in 1890, as a busy, active industrial dockland area as it was. Butler's Wharf, circa 1890 to 1910 this photo was taken, and you can see the crates of tea being loaded in and out of the warehouse. Here we see Shad Thames coming towards the end of its working life in 1950s. Cracking picture this one, Butler's Wharf, 1960s. And this one, Butler's Wharf, 1980, by Lucinda Douglas Menzies, and you can see how run down and dilapidated it was. And this one here, a very brave young man walking along the edge of the top of Butler's Wharf, and this is the redevelopment of the area starting in the 1980s. Right over to the far right, the famous Tower Bridge. Hope you've all enjoyed this little jaunt, and join me for the next one at the Old Justice Pub.